Yeah, Jim Hill, KKL 9 News. Congratulations, Skipper, when you're so close but still so far away. What's the mindset of your team to just still take it one inning, one pitch at a time?
Yeah, Jim, that is the mindset. We are so far away. I think just to stay focused and know that we still got a lot of work to do, a lot of good baseball to play. So today's a new day. We got a new pitcher. We're in a new ballpark, and we just got to, have that same sense of urgency and play good ball.
The third row on your right, Doc. Kirsten?
Dave, with Shohei Ohtani, how did he come in today? Obviously, he's in the lineup, but yesterday you had talked about just pain tolerance and kind of wanting to see and hear from him. What was that conversation like?
He was very adamant that he was going to play. I watched him take swings last night in the cage. Looked really good, strong. Ball was coming off the bat. So I think that there was more uncertainty in all of our minds, but in his mind from day one, from Saturday evening, he was going to play.
The second row on your right, Dave. Barry?
Dave, you've never managed this team and not gotten to the postseason, but a lot of those seasons have ended in disappointment anyway. Other teams would take that as a real success. Like, what is it like to manage for an organization where the only acceptable outcome is winning the whole thing?
I think that, Aaron and I have that in common. I guess it's a privilege to be, with having those expectations. I love what I do, and I do it because I love the game and the players. And you just kind of sort of live with whatever result. But, yeah, that's the reality of our two jobs.
Hi, Dave. Crystal Rich, KTLA. You said Shohei was very adamant that he was going to play. Did he mention where his pain level was at all?
No, not by any number. Obviously, there's some discomfort. I would say it's more discomfort, and that's kind of what I alluded to. It's subluxation. It's per individual's tolerance. Some swings are fine. Some swings were a little uncomfortable, but I think for me it was more of we didn't feel like he was going to be compromised and he was going to play.
And did the imaging, the tests come back?
It just revealed the same thing as a subluxation. That's all it was, yeah.
Thanks.
So we were very fortunate.
We'll go to Jack in the third row.
Hey, Dave, how much do you guys kind of know what the pitching plan might look like tomorrow, and do you have to kind of balance that as you're going through tonight's game with a bullpen game on?
Yeah, it's certainly a bullpen game tomorrow. I think that is contingent on tonight, and I say that with all honesty because, there's leverage guys in a plus game that I'm going to use, and if a game is kind of middling, or a different situation, then I'll use other guys, and I just don't know how we're going to come out of it. But understanding that we still have to cover 27 outs, 9 innings tomorrow to win a ball game, that's going to be the fallout, and it's all kind of dependent on how the usage of tonight's game.
Standing on your left, Bradford.
Dave, you mentioned that because Shohei's injury was on the shoulder that it was, that you didn't think it would necessarily affect his hitting, and then you were talking about watching some of his swings. Just for us lay people who didn't hit professionally, what role does the back shoulder play in swing mechanics?
It's not the front shoulder. I say that it is tougher because typically when a hitter is out in front or fooled, you lose the bat with your backhand, and the right arm, in this case a left-handed hitter, that's when you start to get vulnerable when your arm gets away. The back elbow, the back shoulder is more connected. It's just less chance to kind of get that exposure with a swing and miss or a ball out in front. So that's why, Cody Bellinger did it in 20 with the front shoulder, which was very careful. But again, in a vacuum, the back shoulder is better.
We'll stay back there with Bill Plunkett.
Yeah, is Brent Honeywell plan A for the opener tomorrow then?
No. He's we're planning on potentially using him, but plan A for the opener to start, probably not.
You want to tell us who plan A is?
No.
With Blake Trinan, have you seen some signs recently that the workload is getting to him a little bit?
No, I don't think so. I think that, if you look back at the first game, he had plenty of rest going into this series. And, and then obviously it was a back-to-back, and so there was some. I thought there was some missed pitch location, some command things, but I would say tonight there would be some kind of cost tonight. But I don't think that the workload leading up to the first 2 games, I think it was kind of in line. But again, this is a situation where tonight I'd have to be certain, if and when I deploy him tonight.
Second row on your right, Fabian, then
Yeah,
Ron.
Dave, just to confirm on the MRI, there was no structural damage at all in the shoulder?
No structural damage.
And then did he do anything different today or yesterday that was different from Shohei's normal routine?
No, he didn't. That was what was encouraging is he essentially did probably 80% of his normal routine yesterday. That was what was encouraging and wasn't compromised at all.
And then with Walker, his stuff took an uptick at the last start. Is there anything that you can do that because maybe it's sort of like that gives you confidence that that's something that can sort of stick for a start like tonight?
I think that was part of the layoff. I think that was some of it. I think some of it was the adrenaline. I could see. I think that the average fastball velocity should mirror that one. This is first time pitching against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, so he's amped up. So I do think that the stuff is going to hold. It's just now about commanding the spin, the secondary stuff, and pitching to all quadrants with this heater.
First row on your right, Mike Puma.
Dave, you alluded a little bit to this yesterday, but Ohtani, even if he's not 100%, what kind of psychological edge is it against the opposing pitcher having him in the lineup?
Well, I think it's certainly an edge to us having him in the batter's box, and regardless of what limitations a pitcher might think he might or might not have, not many guys are willing to take that chance. And so, I'm just expecting him to control the strike zone, let the at-bats come to him, and, swing and fire when the ball's in the hitting zone. But, we're just very grateful that he's in the lineup.
Stay there with Tim, then Ron.
You mentioned that with the subluxation, it's a lot of times as tolerated by the individual. And getting to know Ohtani this year, how would you describe his pain threshold, pain tolerance?
So he definitely does some wincing, balls off the shin and things like that. But, when it comes down to it, extremely tough. And this was a big test for him because it's certainly uncomfortable. So not that there was ever any doubt that he was going to post, but he's a competitor. He wasn't going to not be in there.
And similarly, since it's a partial dislocation, was there any popping it back in of treatment? Okay.
There was. Initially, yes.
Yeah. Like Saturday night.
Correct.
Right away sort of
Correct.
thing. Okay, got it.
We'll go to Ron next, or Tyler, then Ron.
Oh, all right. When Ohtani has a scare stealing a base, does it give you any pause in terms of like how often he should be doing that? I mean, he was extremely successful this year, but he's also extremely important. What's the risk reward there?
Tyler, I don't typically try not to play. I don't play that game. You're still playing baseball, and most of his stolen base is equated to runs scored. And on this particular instance, I like the 2-out stolen base attempt, and it just happened that there was a sublux. If it were an 8-1 game or a game that the run didn't matter, I probably wouldn't have run. But in this context, they got to still play baseball.
And Ron next.
Is this type of injury will heal on its own, or is any procedure going to be needed?
That I don't know. I'm hoping it just heals on its own and it'll be an afterthought, but I don't know enough.
And Max mentioned while you guys were on the bus after the game, he sent the group text to the players that "Don't worry, I'll be all right." Were you aware of that at the time?
I wasn't, and I would have been helpful if I would have was on that thread. I would have slept better Saturday night. So I wasn't privy to that until earlier today. So that would have been helpful.
Go to Barry in the second row on your left.
Doc, do you know, has this ever happened to him before?
No, not that I know, Barry.
Also, my understanding of this and covering it is that once it does happen, there's a chance of it happening again.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Go to Mike and then Juan.
Yeah, following up on Tyler's question, will Shohei still have the green light on the base paths?
He's not. I don't think he'll be running. I don't think he'll be running.
And he's slid numerous times this year. I think he's a great slider. What happened on that slide specifically?
I don't know. I mean, you can look at all the 50 stolen base that he had. It's the same slide. I don't know the answer. Yeah.
We'll stay over there with Juan.
Dave, you kind of mentioned it there, but is this something that you're gonna have to check in with him tomorrow, like before?
Yes, I will. I'll check in with him, but I don't expect a different answer. But yes, absolutely.
A little bit further back on your left, Sam.
I'm sorry. Is Ohtani still getting treatment?
Yes. Just finished the hitters meeting. It's constant treatment and just making sure he's in a good spot. But yeah, he is.
Thank you.
Far back on your right, Bill Plaschke.
Yeah, Dave, if this were the regular season, would Shohei be playing?
You know what, Bill, that's probably a better question for Shohei, to be honest with you. I think that if the trainers felt that he wasn't compromised and wanted to be out there and could be out there, I would have no problem. But I think that because it's the World Series, I think the question is moot.
And we'll go to Peter near the front on your right.
Hi, Dave. With Shohei, just how would you describe your emotions going from Saturday night when you see him get hurt to now being able to put him in the lineup today?
Saturday night to yesterday when I saw him in the cage hitting balls 102 miles an hour off a tee, that was joy. And so now it's more of just kind of he's in there and I'm just thinking about the game. And I'm not really thinking about kind of where he's at physically. He's in the lineup. So that's all I'm thinking about.
About 4 rows back on your left, Dave.
Hey, Dave. I'm going to switch off the Shohei just for a second.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys aren't, I don't think you've seen Clark Schmidt this year at all. Only the two Hernandezes, Teo and Kike. And I think Shohei, in an early game last year, saw him. When you don't have familiarity with a starting pitcher, especially in a game of this magnitude, how does that affect your guys than somebody you've seen before?
It's different. I think that there's a lot of technology, there's information, there's video, you're kind of looking at heat maps. But I think that until you get in the box to see how lively his cutter is, or what the sweeper characteristics in the batter's box to righty, or how much the ball's sinking with depth or run. So those things that you got to go in there and kind of learn yourself. But so yeah, I mean, I guess probably it's typically an advantage to the pitcher who hasn't, So I'd say the same thing for Walker in his case. But yeah, you're still trying to gather information and seeing certainly how the stuff's playing that particular night.
Do a few more in the second row on your left, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to give you a break from Shohei questions too. So, how do you handle the balancing act of you're trying to win, obviously, but also managing the bullpen and trying to make sure guys don't get seen too often by opposing hitters and all that? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think the game tells you, how to respond. There's a certain bet on how much you want to keep pushing and try to deploy guys to keep the game as close as you can. Live to fight another day type thing, go for the jugular type thing. I just, as much as you can obviously minimize runs, see their relievers as much as you can, that's a benefit. Taking the long and short view of the series kind of weighs into my decision making. So yeah, it's a constant kind of weaving in and out, but my pitching coaches do a great job of helping me to kind of sift through it.
Third row on your right, Pete.
Davis, you've gotten to know Ryan Brazier. What have you come to like about him, and how is he different than when you saw him in the World Series when he was with the Red Sox?
I like him more now. I think he's very calm. I like guys that have pitched in a hot box in huge baseball markets, sports markets, as he did in Boston. I like that. I just think that he can command the baseball. He's fresh right now, so I like where he's at physically. And like I said, he commands the baseball. He's been in a hot box. He's pitched in the World Series, so he's in my trust tree for sure.
Just do two last ones in that corner on your right, Dave.
Sorry, going back to Shohei's conversation, but you say he's getting treatment. Is he getting medication or shot or tape on the shoulder? And if he has a taping on the shoulder, how much limit he has for the swinging?
It's all of the above on the treatment and stuff. The tape is just protecting and stabilizing, not really limiting.
One last one for Doc. We'll finish up right here.
Dave, when Tyler went down for the season, the players met, and it seemed to be a turning point. Can you recall that moment, and why do you think that moment in particular sparked them?
No, they just all came together. They all came together and knew we had a big loss in Tyler, and they just banded together. So I do think that give credit to the guys that knew that we lost a big piece to the puzzle, but realizing that they had enough talent and camaraderie in the clubhouse, and so they just all kind of came together. So that was certainly a good turning point for us.
All right, Doc, thanks so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Max, how you doing? Now that the Yankees are back home, sleeping in their own bed, how important and how tight does this defense have to be? Because I'm sure they're going to make some adjustments now that they're home.
Yeah, we just got to keep playing our game. Doesn't matter where we're at, doesn't matter the stadium, the location. We got to go out there and play Dodger baseball. We got to prepare, do little things correct, and you just play a clean game. And at the end of the day, if we do that, we trust in the roster that we have.
Shohei is back in the lineup. I guess he never left the lineup officially. How does that help this offense just to continue their dominance at the plate?
Well, if you keep the best player in the game in the lineup, that's usually, it's usually good for your team. Just having him in there, obviously, it's a big guy to have in there. Helps a lot. He's had some big moments for us, and we're obviously expecting a couple more big moments out of him.
Jack, on your left, Max.
Just one more on Shohei. Like, how concerning was that scene the other night when he left, and how much do you guys kind of like pay attention or worry about that these last couple of days about his status and just if he was going to be in there today?
He texted the whole team as we were on our way to the airport and said he was going to be fine, and that was it. He said he was going to play, and so we all just put it to the side at that moment. We all said, all right, he's got us. We'll be ready for him to be in the lineup.
The text just like literally said, I can play, basically.
I mean, there was more to it than that, but yeah,
Good.
Come on.
We'll go to the third row on your right, Kirsten.
Max, you've been very adamant just this entire postseason that the mindset is every day it's 0-0. It doesn't matter that you guys are 2 games up in this World Series at the moment. How important just is that approach, and how have you found, whether it's been in years past and your guys' success in the World Series, or just kind of with taking things in that sense?
Yeah, and that's something that's been preached to me for a very long time, and I try to bring that to everyone else, and that's something that this organization has always done a good job with. And it's that whether you win or lose the previous game, it has no effect on the next day. When you show up, it's a 0-0 ball game. You control the things that you can control, and in this game that's not a whole lot, but there are certain things you can control, and the biggest ones are how you prepare for the game, how you game plan for the game, how you show up. Do you do your routine? Do you do the things you need to do to make sure you're ready for the game? And so those are the biggest things we try to preach. And then, stuff's going to happen in the game. And that's why I say you control what you can control, because you can't control the game. There's no telling what's going to happen. Round bat, round ball, you've heard us say that. Ball might hit a rock in the infield, might catch a seam in the air and do something weird in the outfield. There's no telling what could happen during the game. So you control the things you can control, and for us, that's just how we prepare.
We'll stay in that same spot on your right, Max.
Max, in regards to just different guys stepping up and meeting the moment throughout this postseason, Dave said back at Camelback, he looked at you guys and said, no matter what position you are, no matter what your spot is on the roster, that's what it's going to take to win a World Series, to deliver in the biggest of moments when the pressure is highest. I just was wondering if you remember that kind of speech from him and how you think it's manifesting itself now.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe his exact words are, you need to want to be the guy. And, that's why we're all here. We all want to be in the situation. We all want to be the guy in that moment. And to win a championship, it's going to take more than just one guy. It takes everybody on the team. From the guys that aren't even active to the guys that are active. You guys heard me talk about Brent Honeywell throwing to Mookie Betts in San Diego. That's it takes the entire organization to win a championship, and so that's definitely something that sticks out to you when your manager calls you out like that, and then in spring training saying, "Hey, you guys all need to want to be the guy in that situation. You can't leave it up to someone else." And it's proven true already. How many different guys have come through in big moments for us.
Second row on your right, Tyler, then Jim.
Max, you've been here a while now with the Dodgers. There are obviously some advantages the Dodgers have, but there's never been a letdown year after year. They're always there. What do you think has kept the Dodgers sort of in this position to get this opportunity every year, besides just the payroll?
I mean, it's the entire organization. It starts up top with Andrew and Gomes. Actually, it starts above them with the ownership, and then it goes down into to Andrew and to Gomes, and then it goes into Doc. They want to win. They've created the culture of winning. They've created a good culture in the clubhouse to where we bring in guys every year, and within 2 days they can just tell a difference how it is in the clubhouse. That it doesn't matter about you. It matters about this team. It matters about winning. Everyone's going to do whatever it takes to be able to help this team win. And if it gets to a point where you can't help the team win, then it's time for someone else to step in. And guys understand that. You look at what Freddie did this postseason with taking 2 days off in big key moments for us. You're talking about an elimination game in San Diego, and then a chance to clinch at home. He took those 2 games off, and that's just understanding it's about the team. It's not about you.
But Jim up front on your right.
Yeah, Max, Jim Hill, KCAL9 in Los Angeles. What is it about you and your teammates that gives you such great resolve that you have short memories when things happen in a negative fashion?
It starts in spring training, and that goes back to what I was saying, how when you preach the right things every single day, you create that culture, and that's not something that you can just decide to turn on in July or August, or you have to spend the entire year trying to do that. You have a tough loss the night before, it doesn't matter. You show up the next day, you have a chance to do something special. Every single day, you have a chance to do something special in this game, regardless of what happened the night before, or the day before, the day before that. There's always a chance to do something special to help your team win in this game.
Up front of your left, Max.
Hey, Max. Obviously, the stakes are very different than when you guys were here in June, but I was just curious, does making the overall trip here from the time you land to you get on the field and everything, doing it earlier, does the team find any comfort with the familiarity of the situation?
Wrong guy to ask. I wasn't here for that trip.
Ah, okay.
But, I was just in New York about a week and a half ago, so that kind of helps out.
Go to Ron up front on your right, Max.
You mentioned Shohei sent the text. Did he send the text himself in English or through Will?
No, it's himself. Will's not in our group chat.
Okay.
That group chat's for us. That's for the players. What happens in there is for the players. So that was all show.
Oh, how was his English in texting?
It was great.
Go to Gabe in the third row, and then Tim.
Max, what has it been like to watch Freddie have to rehab an injury while also performing at this level and being able to add a little more to his game every subsequent week that goes by, and now it looks like he's pretty much Freddie again?
Yeah, he looks pretty close to normal. It's been pretty special. You're talking about a 6-week injury that he came back from in essentially 4 or 5 days. He obviously wasn't himself, but you're talking about a name like Freddie Freeman in the lineup. That does a lot. And just having certain guys in the lineup does a lot, because the other team doesn't ever know how a certain guy's feeling. You can obviously look out there and see, but you have no idea what he's actually feeling like. And for example, you might try to have a lefty come in and face him, and he hits a grand slam. You have no idea what that guy is actually going to be like in the box. You just know that guy's been doing it for 15, 16 years now and been one of the most consistent hitters in all of baseball. And, that's something that it's huge having a guy like that in the lineup.
Standing diagonal, Tim.
Following up on Ohtani, given that he seemed to be in significant pain as he came off the field the other night, he had a partially dislocated shoulder. What was your reaction and the team's reaction and surprise or lack of surprise that he is in there tonight?
No lack of surprise that he's in there. Obviously, it was very tough in the moment to see him in pain like that. But we were was that the 8th inning when that happened? I don't even remember. 7th inning. So we were 2 innings away from winning that ball game. We knew we had to refocus, and obviously it sucked seeing Show in that kind of pain. But we still had a job to do in that moment. After the game, we all went and checked immediately on him. It was almost like just a buffet line going in there to try to see how he was doing. But it's tough in the moment, but we still had to refocus and win the game.
We'll stay back there with Clinton.
Max, what have you thought of Mookie's season in terms of position changes and lineup stuff and all that? Just how he's been able to maintain his level.
Yeah, he's been great. He's been very unselfish. He's been, we've asked him to do a lot, and he hasn't complained about any of it. You're talking about one of the best right fielders in the game defensively. There was a conversation had that he wanted to go back to the infield, and he did that thinking it was going to help the team. And then he had to change to shortstop to help the team, and he didn't complain about it once. He went out there, and I think he actually, really enjoyed having to put in all the hard work to improve at it. And when one of your superstars is willing to do that, it sends a big message to your team that everybody's all in together, and it doesn't matter who you are. You better be willing to do something to help this team. Doesn't matter where you need to bat, what position you need to play, what you're called on to do, pinch hit. It doesn't matter as long as you're helping this team win. And when your superstar does that, it sends a big message.
4 rows back on your left, Fabian.
Yeah, Max, how does a group become collectively good at controlling the strike zone, and how important is that against a guy like Clark Schmidt tonight?
Yeah, I think it's just being stubborn to your approach. That's something I've always said for myself in my strike zone discipline, is just trying to be stubborn to your approach. And, I think we've had a good year of, really enforcing that message to a group of guys. And, when your group starts to see it work, it's easier for guys to buy into it. And when you've seen it work the entire year, then obviously the whole group knows that it's something that works well. And then you get into the postseason, and it's something that we've struggled with a little bit the last couple of years. And so, obviously it's questioned whether or not we can keep doing that. But to have the success we've had, I think now no one questions it for us. And so it's just being stubborn to your approach and understanding really what you're wanting to do in the batter's box. And that's obviously huge for anybody. Doesn't matter who you're facing. Obviously good stuff tonight, but you just got to be stubborn to your approach.
Other questions for Max? We'll go to Rosh up here.
Max, you've had so many guys go down, but when Tyler went down, it was something happened with these guys. Can you describe the mood of the team and what happened at that time?
Yeah, that was, obviously that was late in the season. And it just felt like the entire year we kept getting dealt blow after blow, and then guys would come back, and then another blow, and then guys would come back. And it finally felt like we were turning the page and starting to see, more guys come back than go down. And then, your big pitcher gets told he can't pitch the rest of the year. And that was kind of like, man, not again. It was just a big kick in the gut. And, we had to have a big team meeting about it, and just remind everybody we still have numerous all-stars and Hall of Famers in this room. We can still go out there and do this. And obviously this sucks. We want Tyler to be out there, but, we can still do this. We still believe in ourselves. And, we had to have that meeting and go around the room and for everyone to look at themselves and say, yeah, we still have a very good roster, and we've dealt with a lot, and this is no different.
A couple last ones for Max. Jay, we'll get you the mic.
When you're talking about players that went down, you yourself went down in mid-May, and the Dodgers had a bit of a rough patch. Was there ever any point where you were concerned that you wouldn't be able to make it back and be part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially you start rehabbing a couple of different times, and obviously that didn't go so well. You start worrying that the season's getting taken away from you a little bit, and it was a frustrating one for me. It was devastating to just have to sit there and watch and not be able to help the guys out. But thankfully, we were able to get on top of it at some point and come back. And, the whole focus was just make sure that I was going to be ready for October to help this team when it mattered most. And to be able to do that, it was very special to me. But, yeah, there was definitely multiple moments where I thought that that wasn't going to happen this year.
Anything else for Max? All right, Max, best of luck tonight. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
And there it is, another powerful display of resilience and teamwork from the Dodgers. With Ohtani pushing through and every player rallying around, you can just feel the electric energy in this squad. Each inning, each pitch, they're proving what it means to play with heart and determination. The journey's not over, and we're excited to have you along for the ride. Don't miss a beat. Hit that subscribe button, drop your favorite moment in the comments, and let's keep cheering our Dodgers all the way. Go Dodgers.